Welcome back to The Discoverers. This is Chapter 74, Latitudes of Time. For a modern sense of history, vivid glimpses of the serene greatness of Laocoon or the golden glitter of Agamemnon's mask were not enough. Another dimension was needed, what I will call the latitudes of time. Vistas of contemporaneity, a sense of what was going on all over the world at the same time. This was a much more sophisticated discovery, to be reached only by devious and surprising paths. For millennia, people dated happenings in their place by the years of reign of their own king, or by some other fact of local significance. The year AD 1900 in the Chinese reckoning was the 26th year of Guangzu, the brilliant succession, but in Japan was still called the 33rd year of Meiji, the enlightened rule. In India, Hindus dated by dynastic eras, but Buddhists reckoned from the death and nirvana of Buddha in 544 BC. Hindus also used the Kali era, a subdivision of the canonical Mahayuga of 4,320,000 sidereal years and the Yuga of 432,000 years. Other Indian schemes in occasional use date from a battle or a calendar reform. All were complicated by local variations between the lunar and the solar year. Each ancient civilization, Rome, Greece, Egypt, Babylonia, and Syria, had its own scheme. The Roman way of dating from the founding of the city had a vogue elsewhere, too. The Muslim calendar, which would reckon from the Hegira on July 16, 622, as we have seen, was inaugurated only 17 years after the event and still used the lunar year. In Christian Europe, the modern reckoning, BC or AD, expressed the original Christian belief in a unique event, the coming of Christ, which gave to all history a meaning and direction. But this scheme evolved only gradually. The Jews had found their unique event in the creation, and the Christian year 1900 was the Jewish Anno Mundi, 5661. Centuries passed after the birth of Jesus before the present system came into use. During the first centuries, some Christians dated from the indiction, multiples of the 15-year period of imperial tax assessment from the accession of Constantine in 312. Others from the era of Spain, the Easter cycle beginning with the Roman conquest of Spain in 38 BC, or from the era of the Passion, 33 years after the Nativity. The inventor of Anno Domini was Dionysius Exiguus, circa 500 to 560, a monk, mathematician, and astronomer who was trying to figure out how to predict the precise date of Easter, generally agreed to occur on the first Sunday after the full moon or after the March 21st vernal equinox. This meant that in Western Christendom, Easter might fall any time between March 21st and April 25th. Easter has always dominated the Christian year because it is the date from which all movable feasts are calculated and from which the liturgical year begins. But the method of predicting Easter in future decades was complicated and a subject of endless controversy. Many European Christians were using a 95-year table when Pope Hilarius devised, and this was 461 to 68, another method. He coordinated the 19-year cycle of the recurrence of new moons on the same date with the 28-year cycle of the recurrence of days of the week and of the month in the same order, and he came up with a period of 532 years. Dionysius Exiguus set about refining the Pope's figures. In doing so, he rejected the customary use of the ascension of Emperor Diocletian in 284 as a base date, rather than, quote, perpetuate the name of the great persecutor, end of quote. He would, quote, number the years from the incarnation of our Lord Jesus Christ, end of quote. Despite all efforts at compromise, the date of Easter would still divide Western from Eastern Christendom. But Dionysius Exiguus's Christian calendar, numbering the years from the supposed date of the birth of Jesus, except in Islam, would come to govern most of the non-Christian world. Dionysius Exiguus's error was only one of detail. He reckoned the birth of Jesus to have occurred in the year 753 from the founding of the city of Rome. Recent biblical scholars, following the Gospels, generally agree that the Nativity must have occurred before Herod's death, that is, not after 4 BC. In AD 525, Dionysius Exiguus proposed to the Pope the use of AD, Anno Domini, or the year of our Lord, as the standard scheme of dating. Dionysius himself was so little impressed by his own invention that he continued to date his own letters by reference to the indiction. Gradually, through the use of Dionysius Exiguus's Easter tables in Christian Europe, Anno Domini, denoting the continuous series of years from the birth of Jesus, displaced all others. While the system began to be established in the learned world when the Venerable Bede used these AD dates in his ecclesiastical history in 731, several centuries passed before AD was generally adopted in Europe. Not until the 17th century did scholars begin to use BC, counting years backward from the year of Nativity. Many ambiguities remained to plague the historian. For example, when did the year begin? The numerous competing possibilities included Christmas Day, Lady Day, which is Annunciation Day, March 25th, Easter, a movable feast, and January the 1st. Our textbooks still bear the mark of these confusions. For example, England's Glorious Revolution, sometimes known as the Revolution of 1688, would by our current reckoning be called the Revolution of 1689 because it occurred on February 13th of that year. But Englishmen at that time did not begin their new year until March 25th. The date of commencement of the new year changed with the passing centuries. In the 8th century, they counted from Christmas Day, but following centuries used Lady Day or Easter before turning to the modern practice of January the 1st. And this concludes part 1 of chapter 74.